Well, good day, everyone. Welcome to Working Horses with Jim. Today we are on a little vacation for a day. We are down visiting Jim's mother in Vermont, and we thought we'd ask her a few questions about Jim growing up, his love for horses, and all that sort of thing. And I just wanted to take a minute to say that I'm very blessed to have Jim's mom as a mother-in-law. She's just a wonderful person. Behind me over here is a picture that she painted. She's very resourceful in all kinds of different ways, and she's living life to the fullest in her later years, in her 80s, and she is a real inspiration, I'll tell you. So anyways, I'm going to just take you along as I asked Jim and his mom a few questions about what it was like to have Jim as a child growing up and his love for horses.
So hi everybody, just want to introduce to you my mom.
Hi everyone.
And Brenda's going to be asking us some questions, or especially to my mother. Go ahead, Brenda.
So, has Jim always been a person who loved horses?
Oh yes. He was following Harry around, and Harry bought a pony that was blind. I remember Jim used to run up behind that pony and jump on it from behind and hang on, and the horse would go running down the field, and they would really, I was scared to death each time I see it, so I didn't like to watch it very often, but he loved it, and the horse seemed to love him too.
Nikki, yeah. Do you remember that was the same horse that I used to use to deliver grit newspapers? Remember that?
Oh yeah. Okay.
And I can remember one time the paper came out, because you had taken a picture of it and sent it into Grit, and they had actually put that picture in one of the papers, and I don't know where that disappeared to, but I remember seeing it for a while. But, yeah. Anyways.
So, do you remember any other stories of things that Jim or your kids did with horses?
Oh yes, I remember. Harry had built a fence out behind the house, but he forgot to put a gate on, or maybe it was intentional.
That's my dad.
So when they took the horses out, or ponies out back, they always had to go through the kitchen. And of course, oftentimes it was after I had just mopped the floor, so I didn't appreciate it too much at the time. It's funny now, but I didn't think it was then.
I also remember that this one pony that we had would sort of know where the bread drawer was too. Do you remember that?
Probably, but I don't. Not exactly. No. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I should do it. You know.
Go ahead, because if I don't like it, I'm going to edit it out. So you got to be good, Ma, because if you don't say something good, I'm going to have to edit it out.
No, he's not. I'm listening.
No, except when the kids were small, and I used to take them to church, and I had 4 kids at the time, and I remember one time in church I had to be very, very quiet, and I remember one time one of them was really being quite naughty, and so I had to take him out and outside and give him a spanking. And I was sharing this, and it's sometime recently, and but I couldn't remember which one of the children it was. And Jim and Brenda came down visiting, and I was sharing that with them, and Jim started in laughing, and he said, "Oh yeah, I remember going out front and having to get a spanking too." So it was Jim that did it instead of one of the other kids.
That's not surprising.
Yeah.
He's always had kind of a wild spirit, huh?
No, they were mostly good anyway, but I didn't rub his back enough, I guess.
So maybe that is, do you think picked up any tips from your mom about how to take care of your horses?
Good question. My mother has, for so many years, done so many different things, and she's done them so well. And so I guess that desire to shoot for perfection, even though none of us acquire that, but that strive to be perfect. When she's doing her quilting, she's so particular. When she does her sewing, when she does her painting, she's painted for years now, and she's so particular. I can remember one time, her mother used to be a painter, and I remember mom telling me one time, if I'm not mistaken, that she had painted a whole bunch of pictures, and it wasn't till numerous pictures later that her mother finally gave her a compliment. And I remember her feeling so good about that she finally got a compliment from her mother. But she had to strive really hard to get to that point. And so it's not like she was hoping for a compliment, and that's not really what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is her strive to do a job as good as possible. I think that's one thing that I've always admired, among many other things, about my mom.
And now you do it yourself.
I strive to. Just there's the important word. I strive to, but I surely don't always do it perfect.
And you got a good wife that really
Yes.
works with you and
Yes.
helps you to
Yes.
do that too. I think that's great.
Yes. So what about Dad? When when you first married, he was logging with horses, at least some, right? At that point?
Yes, he had horses, yes. And in the barn across the road. And I remember how good he would do. He would make these stanchions between the horses, and perfect, just perfect. But he loved the horses, and I guess you were the one that seemed to follow in his footsteps more so
Yeah.
than the other two boys. They
Yeah.
didn't care too much about horses, but you did.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, and still do.
But Jim has also often said that his two other brothers loved mechanical things, and your dad helped
Both.
Yes.
on both ends of things. So
Yes.
that's really cool.
Right.
When they had the interest and were growing up, he had time for them and helped them with that too.
And I've told this before, that when I was in high school, my father was logging with a skidder at the time, and my oldest brother was very interested in logging with the skidder. So he was helping him out and teaching him the skills there. But then when I was a senior in high school, because he knew I had a desire to use horses, he actually went back to logging with horses. And so I got to go to work with him and learn about logging with horses during that time. So that was a big help for me. And then the following year when I graduated, I was actually able to buy the horses and the truck. And my father had a log truck at the time also, so he would get me log jobs, and I would be working for my father still. But he would have, I have bit by bit bought the horses and the truck and the chainsaws, and then I was still at home at the time, and I could come home every night and ask him, this is what I did today, and it didn't work out. What was I doing wrong? So that was a big help to teach me to become a better horse logger. So thankful for it. And I'm thankful for my mom. So.
Can I call you Chicky?
Sure.
Okay. Because that's the name you go by. Chicky, what advice do you have for people who are in their later years?
Age.
They're 80 plus. You are,
How old are you, Mom?
88.
yeah, and still going strong. She was telling us about her week, and I don't think I could keep up. But what advice do you have to people that might be watching about life that you would want to pass on?
I don't know. I guess and maybe some people wouldn't like this, but I guess I have turned to God more since Harry passed away, And it's meant a lot to me. And he's given me strength to do some of the things that I never thought that I could do. And he's told me to, start a support group. So I have one in my home, and to have a Bible study. And so I have that in my home, and different things that he's just guided me through and given me the strength to do. So I guess that's what I would say for older people, and that even though, I tell the support group is that even though our spouses are gone, that God still has something else for us to do, and for each one of us, and that's all I can say anyway.
So my suggestion, if you were to ever come and stop and visit my mom, come hungry, because she's probably going to be feeding you.
Well, thank you
Not
so
always.
much for letting us pick your brain today. You're a blessing to us.
Well, you're a blessing to me.
Well, we had a good trip with my mom and our son and daughter-in-law and 5 grandkids, and even get to see my brother and sister-in-law, and even get to talk to my sister. So we had a good trip down to see my mom. So I am surprised, I guess, and the amount of questions that we had, and I had asked for questions, and so there was a ton of questions. So we're going to try our best to answer a good share of them. I'm sure we won't get through all of them, but we'll answer a bunch of them. So one of the huge questions that have been asked that has been concerned with is with Skip. So when we got Skippy, he was actually our neighbor's, was born at a neighbor's, and that's why we made the decision to buy it. It was just a simple decision. Brenda had always wanted a little black dog, and that's exactly what she got. We were happy with Skippy. Skippy is more of Brenda's dog than mine. I thought maybe he would be like a woods dog, and maybe he will over time, but for right now he's definitely more of Brenda's dog than mine. And we've had people ask, well, what are you going to do about training Skippy? Well, that's a good question, and I enjoy training horses. I somewhat know what I'm doing. When it comes to a dog, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just don't know. There's so many things that he's doing that are because he's a puppy that I'm not too concerned with, although I gotta start working on it. He gets after the cats quite a bit. You see him running around the horses, and I know it scares a lot of people, but he is so quick that I don't think it's too much of an issue. He's going to get kicked once in a while, I'm sure. He might get stepped on once in a while. He's already been stepped on. When we first got him, he was stepped on twice by, I don't know if it was Baron or who it was. And he got over, he started learning right off to keep his distance from the horses.
He doesn't go in stalls anymore.
No, and he's good with the horses. Yes, we've showed you a couple times where he's kind of barked at the horses, but he was on the opposite side of the fence. He was a long ways from the horse. Anyways, I am not a dog trainer, neither is Brenda. We are making some progress with him. He's actually a very good dog, and he's smart, and he seems to do pretty well. But it's a long process, and am I going to show you how we do it? No, because I don't want to show you something because that I don't even know what I'm doing. But anyways, he's doing fine. We're happy with him. Any other thoughts on Skippy, Brenda?
So he is a Skipperkey, half blue heeler, we think. The mom is definitely Skipperkey, which is a Belgian dog from Belgium that was bred for being on ships and chasing down rats and such. From what I looked up and researched, and anyways, we haven't seen that activity yet, but he sure does like to sort of try to herd sometimes, and that sometimes is part of the issue.
Yes. It'd be great if we could teach him to herd some of our cows at times, but the herding is not the issue. It's controlling the herding so that he comes back to us and stays with us when we don't want him to be chasing the cows and herding them. Anyways, that's about it on Skippy. So another question people have asked, or one person has asked especially, how and when do you decide to sell horses? That's a good question, and I'm not very good. I don't have a good answer for that. I generally just do not sell horses. Most of my horses that are here to spend their lives here, and we bear them out in the pasture when it's time for them to go. Whether they die on their own, or sometimes we've actually had the vet come and put them to sleep. So that's the way it is. So often we've also been asked how, what's a good fit for your horses? Do you have, when you have a team that don't work together, do you try to buy another horse to fit with them to make them a better team? I generally do not do that. A lot of people do that, and it's a good practice. It really is. But I just strive to get them to work better together over time. A lot of times I can do that. A lot of times I can get them to work really, really good, even though they're two totally different horses. And you just hardly know that they're not good at working together. And they weren't at one point, but I've got them to work fairly good together. So I just don't tend to just get rid of horses just because they don't work perfect with another horse. I know a lot of people will do that. They just keep trading horses, and I'm just not one to go trading and buying new horses and selling horses. I just don't like to do that. I love to go to sales, but I've never bought a horse at a sale. And I don't even get to too many sales, although I would love to get to some. So yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it. I generally get a horse and they live here and they die here. But it is getting to the point now, if Lady has a foal in the spring, which we're expecting her, and the date will be, do you remember, Brenda? End of May, right?
Yeah, or early June.
Yes, so that's going to make us with 8 horses here, and absolutely, it's really more horses than we should have and need. But I sometimes do tend to get that way, and sometimes I just got to say, I got to get rid of some of these horses, and then I do. But for any time soon, I'm not seeing any change there.
I will say he loves to have match teams, and lately it seems like, and a lot of people have asked about, are you going to get a mate for Ken since Buck died?
And the answer to that is I have no plans on that, but I'm telling you, if the right Percheron came up that was the right price, pretty good chance he'd be right in here in this barn. But no, I'm not planning on it. So that's all the video we're going to do for today. That's all the questions we're going to answer. There'll be more for tomorrow, I am sure. We're going to continue these daily videos for a while now, although I'm sure it's going to get a little bit overwhelming after not too long of a period of time. But it's kind of fun right now. So I hope you guys are enjoying these videos, and you guys have a great day. We'll see you next time.